Welcome you all for this session. Now this is in continuation of the human reproduction which come under second PUC syllabus. In the previous classes I dealt in detail how actually the sperms are formed by spermatogenesis and how the egg is formed by oogenesis. Though both of them are, that is sperm and the egg are the gametes, what may be the main differences you come across between spermatogenesis and that of oogenesis? Now let us consider the differences between these two. Remember, spermatogenesis occurs in the functional units of the testis by name, the seminiferous tubules. Seminiferous tubules are the structural and functional units of testis. Testes are the sex organs of male individual. Whereas oogenesis occur in the follicles of the ovary. What are follicles? Follicles are the structural and functional units of ovary, just like the cells which are the structural and functional units of the body, nephrons for kidney, neurons for the nervous system, and the alveoli for lungs. The ovary are the female sex organs. So in toto we can say spermatogenesis occur in seminiferous tubules of the testes, whereas oogenesis occur in follicles of the ovary. Then, absolutely there is no difference between spermatogenesis and oogenesis in the first phase or first stage by name, multiplication phase or mitotic phase. In both of them, mitotic division occurs resulting in the formation of the sperm mother cells called spermatogonia and the egg mother cells called oogonia. But the pattern of division and everything remains same in both processes, and then there is no need to differentiate them. Then second phase is the growth phase. Remember, in spermatogenesis, the growth phase has no significance. It is very short. Why it is insignificant? Because there is no accumulation of any reserve food material like that of the yolk. Yolk is the reserve food material which is accumulated in the egg because that yolk is essential to nourish the developing embryo during its developmental period. No such development occurs in the sperm. The sperm function is only to contribute paternal chromosomes to maintain the diploid number of the chromosomes in the next generation, that's all. And hence, no yolk is synthesized, as a result of which the growth phase is very short and then insignificant. Whereas the growth phase in oogenesis is very long and significant, during which the yolk is synthesized. As I said earlier, yolk is a reserve food material. It is essential to nourish the embryo during its developmental period. As the embryo develops inside the egg, it is necessary to synthesize the yolk during growth phase, which is useful for the future development of the embryo. Hence it is long and significant. Next one, the primary spermatocyte forms ultimately or by the end of spermatogenesis 4 functional sperms. Whatever the sperms that are resulted from a single primary spermatocyte, all are functional. Whereas the primary oocyte forms
3 non-functional polar bodies and only one functional egg. That means to say, the primary oocyte forms one functional egg and 3 non-functional polar bodies. They simply formed and degenerated. So, here the primary spermatocyte forms are 4 all functional sperms. Then the spermatids get transformed into a sperm through a process called spermiogenesis or spermateliosis. So, spermiogenesis. This is the process by which the spermatids get metamorphosed into a sperm, during which much amount of the cytoplasm is discarded. Overall result is a larger and then inactive non-motile spermatid is get converted into a motile, the functional and smaller sperm. Here in oogenesis there is no such process. The ooted whatever form becomes a functional egg with no changes. That means spermatid by spermiogenesis becomes a functional sperm, but here ooted itself becomes a functional egg. And lastly, in the seminiferous tubules, the epithelium is lined by the primordial germ cells along with Sertoli cells. Sertoli cells are helpful in nourishing the developing sperm, but no such Sertoli cells are found in the germinal epithelium of ovarian follicles. So, these are the major differences what we can come across between spermatogenesis and oogenesis. That means to say, spermatogenesis occurs in seminiferous tubules of testes, whereas oogenesis occurs in the follicles of the ovary. Here growth phase is short and insignificant, no yolk is synthesized. Here growth phase is long and significant, during which yolk is synthesized. Then primary spermatocyte forms 4 functional sperms by the end of meiosis. Whereas here the primary oocyte forms 3 non-functional polar bodies and 1 functional egg at the end of meiosis. Then spermatid undergoes a series of changes by name spermiogenesis or spermateliosis to become functional sperm. But in oogenesis, ooted itself becomes a functional egg. No, the notable changes. Sertoli cells are present in the germinal epithelium of the seminiferous tubule of the testes. Such Sertoli cells are absent in. These are the differences between spermatogenesis and oogenesis. Now let us know the differences between the end product of these two processes. The end product of spermatogenesis, as you are aware, is the sperm. The end product of the oogenesis is the egg. What may be the differences between these two? Both of them are what? Sex cells. And both of them are gametes. And both of them are haploids. But still there are the differences. First one is regarding sperm. It is a male gamete. Egg is a female gamete. Whereas sperm is quite active, highly motile and microscopic. No sperm is visible with naked eyes, remember. No sperm. They are all microscopic, some are submicroscopic one. Whereas egg is inactive, non-motile, micro to macroscopic. For example, the mammalian eggs, except egg-laying mammals, human egg or the egg of an elephant, all are the microscopic. For example, the bird's egg, reptilian egg, insect eggs, all are macroscopic. They can be seen with our naked eyes. And of course, the birds' eggs are used as our food. Then, the sperm is almost like that of a tadpole of frog. What is a tadpole? It is the larva of a frog. It is almost like that. Whereas, egg is either spherical or oval. This is the usual shape of an egg. Then, the sperm consists of three parts: head, midpiece and tail. Whereas, the egg contains only two parts: upper animal pole and lower vegetal pole. Animal pole in the sense, it is the region what actually the embryo develops in future, or the new animal develops in future. That's why it is called animal pole. The vegetal pole in the sense, it contains the nutritive material or the reserve food material by name yolk, which nourish the developing embryo. Then, the cytoplasm in sperm is very, very little or negligible, because much of the cytoplasmic content is discarded during spermiogenesis, that is during the transformation of the spermatid into a sperm. Only negligible amount of the cytoplasm is present. This is because of no yolk. Whereas the cytoplasm content in egg is quite more. This is because of the fact that it contains a reserve food material by name yolk. As I said earlier, yolk is nothing but a reserve food material. Then, in sperm, there are no additional membranes. It has only what? The plasma membrane or cell membrane, like that. Whereas in egg, around the plasma membrane or cell membrane, there are additional membranes like primary egg membrane, secondary egg membrane and even tertiary egg membrane, like that. For primary egg membrane, we can take the example of a vitelline membrane. Vitelline membrane is a primary egg membrane found in frog's egg. Secondary egg membrane, that is, the example is chorea, found in the insect egg. Whereas the jelly coat is the tertiary egg membrane that is secreted by the oviduct of the female reproductive system. Remember, primary egg membrane is only the one which is secreted by the plasma membrane itself, whereas the secondary and the tertiary membranes are secreted by the different parts of the female reproductive system. So, the overall concept is the egg contains or egg is surrounded by additional membrane like primary, secondary and tertiary membranes, but no such membranes are found in sperm. These are the mainly the six differences what we can draw between the sperm and the egg. Now, the next part is the menstrual or endometrial cycle. Remember, there are said to be the two cycles: estrous cycle, menstrual cycle. Estrous cycle occurs in other mammals. So that causes what is known as the sex urge in female. Only during that estrus period, the female allows male to come in contact sexually. Not all the time as like that of a man. It is only during that period the female allows the male to come in contact sexually. That is estrus cycle. Whereas menstrual cycle is nothing but a monthly or periodic cycle occurring in a woman for every 28 to 29 days. So this can be referred as the menstrual cycle or monthly cycle or menses or periodic cycle, or even called endometrial cycle, because the endometrium is the inner membrane of what? Uterus. Uterus inner membrane is endometrium. Perimetrium is outermost membrane. Myometrium is middle membrane. During this menstrual cycle, it is the endometrium which is get eroded, or the epithelium of that endometrium is get eroded, and hence it is referred as endometrial cycle. Remember, the menstrual cycle onsets in a girl between the age of 12 to 15 years. This of course depends upon their lifestyle or even food habits. And then the menstrual cycle, the first onset of the menstrual cycle, the onset of the menstrual cycle is called menarche. That is the onsetting of the first menstrual cycle. The happening of the menstrual cycle in a girl indicates that she attained puberty or sexual maturity. This menstrual cycle is having or consisting of these 4 phases or stages. The first phase is menstrual phase. This occurs right from 3 to 5 days. What happened during this time? As I said earlier, suppose this is uterus, the innermost layer is what? Endometrium. That the epithelium of the endometrium along with the blood vessels are get ruptured, and that ruptured epithelium along with the blood results in bleeding in a woman, and that is called the menstrual flow, and that lasts for about 3 to 5 days. Suppose the girl is anemic, it may be even extend to 1 or 2 days more. So in general, it occurs between 3 to 5 days, during which the epithelium of the endometrium is get eroded along with the blood vessels, resulting in bleeding. That is the first one. Then proliferative follicular or pre-ovulatory phase. Proliferative means nothing but cell division. What happened in the first phase? Endometrium epithelium is get eroded or is get damaged. That should be what? Regenerated. For regeneration, what division is to occur? Mitotic division is to occur. For repairing of any tissues or any cells, it is only the mitosis which can repair it. Hence, during this stage, there is proliferation, nothing but the cell division, thereby the endometrium regenerates. Hence, it is called proliferative phase. Why it is called as a follicular phase? Because follicles are what? Structural and functional units of the ovary. These follicle, there is primary follicle, secondary, tertiary, and that tertiary follicle then forms what? A Graafian follicle. A Graafian follicle is what? It is a matured ovarian follicle in which egg develops. That means follicular phase means it is the phase during which Graafian follicle is formed basically from what? The primary follicle after passing through secondary and tertiary follicles. Hence it is called follicular. Pre-ovulatory phase. Why it is called so? Because it is the stage prior to what? Prior to or before to the ovulation, releasing of the egg. That's why it is called pre-ovulatory phase. This is maintained by hormones like follicle stimulating hormone and then luteinizing hormone of the pituitary gland. They are secreted by the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland, and then estrogen and progesterone of ovary. All these hormones regulate this phase, and it lasts from 6 to the 13 days. So remember what happened during this stage is mainly two events. One, endometrium is get repaired or regenerated by cell division, that is mitosis. Secondly, the primary follicle develops into what? Graafian follicle in which egg is supposed to be developed, and it lasts for 6 to 13 days, and this is managed or maintained by FSH and LH of pituitary, estrogen and progesterone of ovary. Next, the third phase is ovulatory phase. What is ovulatory phase? The term itself indicates its meaning. If you know the meaning of those words, you can easily write down whatever you know in your own English. Ovulatory phase means it is the phase during which ovulation occurs. What is ovulation? It is nothing but the releasing of egg from the ruptured Graafian follicle. What is Graafian follicle? A matured ovarian follicle in which egg develops. During this stage, the Graafian follicle is get ruptured, releasing the egg. And this occurs particularly on the middle of the menstrual cycle, middle day. So suppose the menstrual cycle lasts for 28 days. It occurs usually on the 14th day of the menstrual cycle. And during this stage, for ovulation, remember, the secretions of both FSH and LH reach its to the maximum amount, or reach its peak. That too particularly, the LH level is enormously increased, and it is called LH surge. Surge in the sense, a wave. So it reaches its peak level during this stage. Suppose it fails to reach its peak level, no ovulation occurs, and hence it is essential for it. As a result of this, naturally, egg is released from Graafian follicle after its rupturing. And then the last phase is luteal, secretory or post-ovulatory phase. Why this is called as a luteal phase? So in the third phase, I told you there is releasing of what? Egg. How the egg is released? Actually, it is not an egg. It is a secondary oocyte. So during the releasing of egg, the Graafian follicle is ruptured. That Graafian follicle develops into what? Corpus luteum. Corpus luteum. It is an yellow body
that secretes what? A progesterone hormone which is responsible for the preparation of endometrium for implantation and maintain pregnancy. Remember, progesterone is commonly called as a pregnancy hormone. If at all it is not secreted in the required amount, so it may lead to the abortion. So, the corpus luteum secretes large amount of the progesterone hormone which is responsible for the maintenance of the pregnancy if at all the egg is fertilized. If egg is not fertilized, then corpus luteum is get degenerated as corpus albicans. Corpus albicans. When it is degenerated, now the body of the woman is ready to undergo for the next menstrual cycle. Remember, the menstrual cycle occurs periodically once in for every 28 or 29 days. When it starts, suppose egg is fertilized and woman become pregnant naturally. So, up to delivery, no menstrual cycle occurs. Even after delivery, again, remember 4 to 6 months, no menstrual cycle, because the body is said to be recovering from the strain of the delivery. So, if at all the egg is not fertilized, it is a monthly cycle or a periodic cycle like that. So, when corpus albicans is formed by the degeneration of the corpus luteum, remember, the body is prepared to undergo next menstrual cycle. How long the menstrual cycle occur in a woman? Up to the age of about 45 to 50 years. Suppose a girl reaches puberty at the age of 13 years, up to 45 to 50 years there is menstrual cycle. After that, no menstrual cycle at all. And such a condition is called menopause. Menopause in the sense stoppage of the menstrual cycle. In general, after 45 years, the chances of getting child in a woman is quite rare. But it is not applicable to man. Man is reproductively active even up to the age of about 75 to 80 years like that. Hence he goes on marriage, remarriage like that. But this is not the case for a woman. And right from menarche, that is the onset of the first menstrual cycle, menopause, stoppage of the menstrual cycle. During this reproductive cycle, in general, there may be the production of nearly 400 eggs in a woman. So that is what is known as the overall menstrual cycle or endometrial cycle, which includes all these 4 phases: menstrual phase, which lasts for 3 to 5 days, where there is breaking down of the endometrial lining along with blood vessels leading to bleeding. And second phase is the pre-ovulatory phase. It lasts from 6 to 13 days and it is entirely managed by these hormones, FSH and LH of pituitary, estrogen and progesterone of ovary. And the ovulatory phase, it occurs on the 14th day and it is caused mainly due to FSH and LH, which reaches their peak level during this stage. That too particularly LH reaches its climax level and which is called LH surge, which is essential for ovulation, releasing of egg from the ruptured Graafian follicle. Lastly, the post-ovulatory phase. During this stage, the ruptured Graafian follicle develops into corpus luteum and secretes progesterone, which maintains what? the pregnancy. If at all egg is fertilized. If not, corpus luteum is degenerated as corpus albicans. So simultaneously, all these hormones, that is LH, FSH, estrogen, progesterone level is get decreased in the body, and the body prepares to undergo the next menstrual cycle. This is about the menstrual or endometrial cycle. And lastly, how the menstrual hygiene is maintained. This is very recently added by P.U. Board. Remember, particularly the woman should know how to maintain this menstrual hygiene. 1. Take bath and clean yourself regularly. That is very important. Every day during that menstrual period, they have to take bath and clean yourself regularly. Next is use sanitary napkins. Nowadays the sanitary napkins are available in the medical shops and are home-made pads. Home-made pads are usually made out of cotton cloth, a thick cotton cloth in 2 or 3 layers like that. That can be used as home-made pads. Then change the sanitary napkins or home-made pads regularly for every 4 to 5 hours as required. You have to see the requirement, then you have to change. Then disposable of the used sanitary napkins and the homemade pads, so should be properly disposed. How it is disposed? So the sanitary napkins or the homemade pads should be covered with paper. Don't put into the drainage pipes or the pipes of the toilet or in the open area.